All right, so let's take a look at how to multiply fractions by whole numbers. All right, you can use models and equations to multiply a fraction. Excuse me. All right, let's look at multiplying fractions by whole numbers. You can use models and equations to multiply a fraction by a whole number. So let's take a look at example 1. Each card on a trivia game has 6 questions, so that's the total. Each question represents 1/6 of the questions on the card. Caleb correctly answered 4 of the questions. What fraction of the questions did he answer correctly? So if he answered 4 total questions correctly, and each question represents 1/6, then I would have to multiply 4 times 1/6. Now, there are a couple of ways that we can look at this. Just know that I can't multiply a whole number by a fraction. So technically, what I'm doing is I'm going to turn this whole number into a fraction by putting a 1 under it, because 4 divided by 1 is 4. So it's still stay in that 4 holes that I need it to be. And then I'm just going to multiply straight across. So 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 6 is 6. Now what we can do is we can just stick our 1 under here, multiply straight across to get our 4, 6. But it is just that easy. Sometimes you can even just multiply this whole number by the numerator and just say 4 times 1 is 4, and my denominator stays the same. So whichever way is easiest for you to multiply. So our answer is 4, 6, but we know that can't be my final answer because 4, 6 is not in simplest form. There's a number that will divide into 4 and 6, and that's 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So our answer is 2/3. All right, let's take a look at our next example. It says that you can use equations and properties to multiply a fraction by a whole number. Example 2 is find 5 times 3/10. Identify the 2 whole numbers between which the product lies. So after we multiply this, we're going to use our product to say which 2 whole numbers it falls in between if it were on a number line. So let's multiply. So remember, you can just stick that 1 under here and say 5 times 3 is 15. 10 times 1 is 10. But now I get 15/10, and that's an improper fraction, so I can't leave it that way. So I'm going to divide it. 10 will go into 15 one whole time, so that means my whole number is 1. All right, so I get 1 remainder 5. So that means 1 with 5 left over, and my denominator stays a 10. So I get 1 5/10 as my answer. And hopefully you're saying that this isn't my final answer because 5/10 can be simplified. Really, my answer is going to be 1 1/2 because 5 and 10 have a GCF of 5. So I can divide 5 divided by 5, which gives me 1, and 10 divided by 5, which gives me 2. So I have 1 1/2. So here's my answer. But it also asks me to identify the 2 whole numbers between which the product lies. So what that means is it's wanting me to find those 2 whole numbers that would come right before and right after 1 1/2 if it was on a number line. So let's just imagine a number line right here. And if I have 1 1/2, I know that my whole number tells me which whole number it has passed. So it has just passed the 1, but it hasn't quite made it to 2 because of this fraction. So 1 1/2 is going to come in between 1 and 2. So here's my answer, and here are the 2 whole numbers that it falls in between. So we're going to look at a couple of more examples to help you understand finding the numbers that comes in between. So let's take a look right here. I have 5 times 1/8. So remember, you can also think of it as 5 times 1 is 5. My denominator stays an 8. So I get 5/8 as my answer. Now, let's think about that number line and think about what 2 whole numbers it would come in between. Look at 5/8. It is not a mixed number. It is a fraction. It does not have a whole number, so that means that it hasn't passed any whole number yet. So 5/8 is going to come in between 0 and 1. All right, now let's take a look at this one. So let me just stick the 1 under it just to show you that different way to do it. 4 times 2 to multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 1 is 3, so I get 8/3, but I can't leave it that way because it is improper. 3 are going to 8. How many whole times? 2 with 2 left over. So that means my answer is 2 2/3. And I know 2/3 is in simplest form. So my answer is 2 2/3. So now let's see what 2 whole numbers 2 2/3 comes between. Well, I have my whole number of 2, so that means that it has passed 2, but it hasn't quite made it to the 3 yet, so it's going to come in between 2 and 3. All right. Let's do 2 more examples. These are from your classwork. Multiply. Write in simplest form. Identify the 2 whole numbers between which the product lies. So let's multiply these 2. I like to put the 1 under it because that's going to come in handy later on down the road. 8 times 1 is 8. 5 times 1 is 5. So I get 8/5. Now this is improper, so I need to turn it into that mixed number. So I need to divide. 5 will go into 8 one whole time. So I get 1 remainder 3, which is 1 3/5. So now that I have my mixed number, and I know it's in simplest form because 3 and 5 are both prime numbers, I've got to tell which 2 whole numbers 1 3/5 lies between. So 1 is my whole number. That means that it is past 1, so it's in between 1, but it hasn't quite made it to 2. So it's in between 1 and 2. You will have, most of your questions will be like this, like we just did. You'll get an improper fraction, you'll have to divide it, then you'll get your mixed number. Sometimes you will have to simplify, and then you'll tell me what 2 whole numbers it comes in between. Now this one, like number 5, this is the only one like it that you have on the paper. But let's go ahead and do it together. So 4 times 3 is 12, and 4 times 1 is 4. So it is improper, but whenever I divide this, I see that 4 will go into 12 3 whole times, and it goes into 12 evenly. I don't have a remainder. So my answer is simply 3, which is okay. Whole numbers are okay as my answers. The tricky part is that whenever you go to tell me which numbers it's in between, on this one, it's just exactly on 3. So that's just kind of a unique one like that, but that is the only one that's like that. Like I said, all of the rest of them are going to be like this, You have to make sure you simplify, and you have to tell me where that mixed number would fall in between. So if you have any other questions, just let me know. Hopefully this was a pretty easy lesson for you.